I suspect the reason that I'm having such a difficult night, or the reason I slept so badly, is because I'm filled with anxiety or enthusiasm to hear what's going on at the Conservative conference and how Kwasi and Elizabeth Truss are going to wriggle out of the frankly appalling scenario that they have created, that they have presided over. Now, we know what they're both going to say. The question is it credible? Because there are two features. Number one, the pound crashing against the dollar. And number two, faced with the unstructured borrowing, the gilt yields rising. Now, what they're going to say is that this has been happening all over the world, that many, many currencies have had problems. And it's true, of course, many currencies have had problems, but not so fast. Not so fast. And the graphs, when you look at the graphs are tumbling from the moment that Kwasi stood up and announced his mini budget that was completely unsupported by any reality, by any structured discussion. It was based entirely on some sort of fantasy ideology. And that is the problem. And that continues to be the problem. And that is something that I would like to see Liz Truss and Kwasi challenged over and answer. And if they answered with any soundness, I'm sure they could provide some security to the markets. I'm sure they could make everything all right. At this stage, still, they could act in the interests of Britain and reverse the top rate the top rate tax issue immediately. They still wouldn't win the next election, I think. There would have to be some sort of miracle for the Conservative Party to win the next election. But they could save the country. And I think there's an issue now about patriotic duty. It's not about speeding up to the next election. We simply do not have the time for another introspective 6 weeks while we take on a national election campaign or a Conservative leadership campaign. Whatever happens now has to be done quickly and has to be done in the interest of the nation. And it's time that Liz Truss, Kwasi Kwarteng, and the 1922 committee put their country first.